Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Two Player Podcast with Matt Likes Games and Ham Solo. Enjoy the show.
All right. I'm gonna cut that intro short because I'm excited to get into the show today. Welcome back to another episode. Oh my god. I got the volume up on my end. That was bad. Nothing happened. What are you talking
Nothing
about?
happened. There's nothing.
Shut your mouth, Ham. This is the Two Player Podcast with myself and Ham Solo. We got topics. I'm gonna try to do it a little bit differently because I know me and Ham have both been on shows since the showcase where we went through every single game that was shown, talked a little bit about it, and I'm quite sure we don't want to do that in this show. We go over every single game.
No, let's do it.
I mean, if that's what you really want, we can. But I got this set up a little bit different.
I'm just gonna say if that's what you really want, let's do it.
Sure. All right. Well, before we get into any of that,
I'm just kidding.
We got to do. Yeah, we're not doing that. Before we get into any of that, we got to start with the intros and everything. How we're both doing. So I'm gonna ask you, Ham, after that showcase this week, how are you doing? Oh, I see you're a little bit busy. Well, I'm gonna go honestly. I'm doing pretty damn awesome after that showcase. Quite frankly, one of the best showcases I've seen in a very, very long time.
I had to do something for my wife. What was that?
You're good, man. Yeah, I was asking you how you're doing this week. This is the intro, just the intro bit.
Oh man, I tell you what, things have been awful. There's been nothing good.
Nothing good happened.
I mean, other than the Summer Game Fest, that really brought a smile to my face.
We got anti-ham on this show.
Anti-ham? What is that?
It's opposite day, apparently. So Ham's saying the Summer Games Fest. Well, before we get into any of that, you just had a really good show over on your channel.
I did.
You did a nice interview. Why don't you tell them about that?
Yeah, so I just did an interview with a gentleman that goes by the name of Ralph Jodice Jr. He is the head of PR at XReal. And XReal is a AR like company with that does like glasses that you can put over just regular glasses pretty much, but they have like the ability to like pretty much mirror whatever you're doing on your phone and whatnot with like little to no latency. And it's pretty amazing. Like you can hook them up to your consoles via a dongle if you want to. Or you can, use it wireless through your phone or Steam Deck or whatever. And I mean, it's just it's pretty incredible. So like I'm excited to give those things a try myself because he said that he's going to send me a pair. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. And when it does, I will definitely share my opinion about it with you guys. And maybe I'll even have him on live talking about it. Maybe I'll be able to do something like that. That'd be fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, getting the interview alone is awesome, but then also getting hooked up with a pair of XReal glasses, probably something you didn't expect.
No, very bingo cards.
A very pleasant surprise. So that's really awesome to hear. As for myself, I mean, it's all good. It's all good. This is a pretty awesome week.
That was nice.
Well, we're not even going to talk about Summer Games Fest. That's how nice it was. We're not even going to mention that it exists. It was so nice that it doesn't even exist. I'm, of course, referring to the Xbox showcase because, as far as I'm aware, that was the meat and potatoes. There's nothing there. I mean, there was nothing really that could come close,
You're right.
let
There's
alone
nothing
topic.
there.
Okay, Ham. Let's get into the Xbox showcase because
Let's go.
I'm doing this different. Where, like I said, we're not going through every single game. We're not doing this. So I want us both to pick our top 5. I'm gonna say, yeah. Let's go in order 5 to 1, or we can go 1 to 5. It's up to you. Whichever one you feel like doing. But as we go,
in no particular order, right?
That's even better. It doesn't even have to be in order. So you're gonna go. I'm gonna give one of mine, and then maybe we both give the same one. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. But we're gonna talk about it a little bit, and we're gonna go through 5 of our top games from that showcase.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pass it off to you first. What's the first game comes in your head that you're most excited about from this showcase?
The game that I can't get away from my mind is Expedition 33. That game looks sick.
I agree with you.
Really? You're not into turn based. I said that on purpose because I didn't think you were gonna be in the crowd of giving that game a shot.
Well, it's not my most hyped game from the show, but that looked so good. Like, I don't like turn-based games. That game looked so good that I could see myself genuinely really enjoying that. Like, they made turn-based look fun. Like, they kind of gave it QTEs to make it a little bit more interactive than just I hit a button and then it does this and then I got to wait for them to attack. Like, it's more interactive than just that. Plus, the visual style of the game just looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, the visual aesthetic to it gave me kind of that Stellar Blade kind of feel. I thought that it kind of looked like as to where it's like kind of anime, but kind of shiny and kind of real, but not. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of cool. It was very metallic-y.
I like that. I mean, that's definitely. I don't know if that's in my list of top 5 because that show was packed.
You know what I think we should do, and I don't mean to like try to take over, but I think we should just name off until we just don't feel like going anymore. Just go back and forth.
All right,
because we're not gonna say all 30.
No, we're not. We're not.
I'm not.
Yes. Well, I don't. First of all, I couldn't remember
like
all 30
10 games that I like adore from that showcase. Not that I just like because I could go by and say like I liked like 98% of that showcase.
Yes.
I mean, I could say I'll play 98%, if not almost like 100% of everything that was at that showcase. But that doesn't mean I am anticipating it. There are like 5 to 10 things that I'm like drawn to. So going ahead with what's yours? What's yours for the first one?
So I mean, for me, game of the show for me, which is nuts because I would have never expected it to be game of the show, is Perfect Dark.
Let's go.
Is Perfect Dark. I mean, ever since all those rumors came out, not rumors, I mean, factual reportings about the initiative bringing in Crystal Dynamics and everything, half of the team leaving and shit. Like, once that came out, I was like, okay, I love Crystal Dynamics. I don't love that. It's not a good sign, I don't think, that half the team left. So what's going on here? And then we go years and years without seeing it. And then we finally get the rumor, hey, it's going to be at this Xbox showcase. And I'm like, all right. I'm excited to see it, but I don't have high hopes. And then I saw it, and like I just said, my game of the show. That
was your game of the show,
dude.
Considering the list, that was there.
Yeah, yes. Considering Doom, considering Gears, considering stuff like Expeditions 33,
Fable.
Considering stuff like Atomfall, Stalker 2. Like, there's so many things that was at this show where it's like could have been my game of the show, but this was it, and I had no expectation for that. The fact that they've taken Perfect Dark, and I mean, we can't confirm it until we actually play it, but it looks like it's an immersive sim. I love immersive sims. I can't stress that enough. So when I saw that, the gameplay looked super clean, the visuals look super clean. I thought the whole vibe of it, because I remember Perfect Dark on the N64, and even playing like the retro version on the 360. Like it has a specific vibe, and I feel like they took that vibe, whereas Perfect Dark, the original, was kind of silly, goofy, and whatever. I feel like this has elements of that, but it's also more serious. Much the same way I feel about a game we'll probably talk about later, Fable. But Perfect Dark was my game of the show. I think they absolutely nailed it. Who knows when it comes out, but I don't. I'm just so happy that it looks as good as it does. So that's for me my number one.
Okay. And like I said, I'm not going in any particular order. My number one game for the show, I'm not gonna bring up quite yet because I think you possibly might talk about it next. But the next game that I really am looking forward to, surprisingly, and it's coming, I think it's right around the corner of coming out possibly, is the game called Mixtape.
Oh yeah, one with like all the '80s music.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And it was because of that feel. And it seemed like a kind of not standing around too long story. Like I
Mhm.
don't like what I don't want to do is play an 80s style game where I'm looking for clues all over a house. Like that's not fun to me. But it seems like they go on and do stuff, and there's like a kind of a fun story added to it and whatnot. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying out Mixtape, seeing what that game is all about. Even though it's something smaller and it wasn't as high caliber as a lot of the other games that we're going to be talking about, I think just the art style of that game was magnificent. And then as well as like the way they introduced it with that music and kind of the flow, I was digging it.
I get that. Is that coming to Game Pass? Was that
Yes.
I'll give that a shot entirely based on the music, because there was a lot of bands in there, and just some of the music we heard in the trailer that I like, that I really do like. So I have no problem giving that a try just for that, and who knows, maybe I'll end up liking it. But yeah, it looked interesting. Looked interesting. Great music choices. Really cool art. So yeah, I can definitely see that. You said you think I'm gonna get your number one with
Oh, it's
this
no,
one.
no, it's not coming out. It's not coming out this year. I thought it was. It's 2025.
Okay.
Damn.
May,
I was hoping that was soon.
maybe did you get it mixed up with Life is Strange? Is that coming out soon? I'm not sure.
I don't care.
uh
That game could be out now. I wouldn't be playing it.
I'm not playing Life is Strange. But so you thought I would guess your number one with my next one.
What is this that you're showing on the screen right now?
This is Alan Wake DLC. Alan Wake
Oh,
2.
okay.
This is chapter one, which is really side tangent, by the way. DLC is really cool. Very short. There's 3 chapters. First chapter is about 30 minutes. Second chapter is about 30, 40 minutes. I haven't played the third chapter. I need to. I would assume probably another 30, 40 minutes. But very much more combat focused than the original Alan Wake 2, which I'm not complaining about. I think it's really awesome. So
I don't know why, but it reminds me of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something.
I could see that. I also see some modern Resident Evil, the remakes, and I should say.
That's
Um,
a really good assessment too.
but yeah, it's a very fun time. Very fun time. Highly recommend if you're interested in Alan Wake at all. But up next, So you think I was going to guess your number one? I'm going to say, I mean, for me, I got to give my number two. It would be, which is nuts because there's three that could be number one, but Gears of War E-Day
Nope, that
was
wasn't
was
mine.
my number two. I think the third one that could be number one is probably the one you're thinking of. But Gears of War E-Day was one of the biggest shocks at the show for me. And if it weren't for Perfect Dark, it would have been. Because it was like the whole thing was like, oh, it leaked. Gears of War 6 will be at the show. Like everybody's fully anticipating Gears of War 6. I'm fully anticipating it. It's like, okay, we're gonna get more Kate, we're gonna get more Dell, because I think canonically, well, I don't want to spoil that if nobody's played it yet, but we're gonna be getting more of these characters. And then we see Gears come up at the showcase, and it's Marcus Phoenix. And not only is it Marcus Phoenix, but I'm watching it with Mike and Vinny, and I'm like, yo, Marcus looks hella young right there. Like
Right.
he looks really young right there. So is this a remake? Are they like doing, which doesn't make sense because I'm confused about that because you did a remake for 20 or for Gears 1. So I'm like, why are you doing another one? And then the trailer plays out, he's about to fall, someone grabs his hand, camera pans up, it's Dom, and Dom's young too. And I'm like, okay, this might be a whole new thing.
Right.
And well, of course, it cuts, and then the whole suspenseful part is it says Gears of War, and it leaves it on that for like 5 seconds, and it makes you think, oh, it's a remake, and then it pops up on the screen, E-Day, and it just hits you. It's a prequel. It's like as soon as shit starts popping off in the Gears of War universe, this is what that game is about, and I think they nailed the tone. I mean, we can talk about how damn good it looked, running in real time and everything with actual assets from the engine and everything that the team are using for the game that you will see in the game. There was some controversy about that, I believe. I can't remember his name. Jeff Keighley. Jeff Keighley made a tweet uh, basically saying that it was all CG done by Blur, but turns out it was real time using assets from the engine, from the game, like I said, that you will see in the game. So it looks amazing. Prequel, young Dom, young Marcus. I mean, I'm excited. Plus, it also has the horror feel of the first game, which I mean, not only did they get away from that in Gears 4 and 5, they got away from that way early on in Gears 2 and 3, really. So to have that vibe back from the original one, I'm pretty stoked for that. It's just a matter of when does this come out. But again, another game I'm just super excited for. That would be my number two.
Okay. So I guess my next one, because I mean, I'm not going to rehash up the games that you bring up.
Mhm.
But my actual number one game of the showcase ended up being Fable.
Okay.
And it
That's
was just
yeah.
because, like, not only did they bring us more to see in the game, but it was even like it seemed like it looked better.
Yeah.
It seemed like they worked on certain spots. And although they showed even her like throwing that thing at somebody,
Mhm.
like it just like all the elements, like I just don't know what's going on at Playground Games, dude. They
They're
seem to
fucking
be
wizards.
like they seem to be like some like graphical wizards over there for what they can do. And the game looks like it's gonna be dense.
Oh, I fully expect that. Yeah.
And if you've played any of the other older Fables, I mean, those games were dense as well, but it didn't have the fidelity like that. Not even
Mhm.
close.
Yeah.
A lot of the fidelity of that game was hidden behind like skins or like things that people are wearing and stuff like that. So you didn't really care to look like at the pores in their faces or anything like that. This game is very much like look at everything. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It definitely screams that. So that game has me excited, and then also just the like the way they show off that character is that like you are a badass. Like pretty much that trailer is of the person that's supposed to be like the legend of the land, saying that this character that you're gonna become is an absolute fucking demon. Pretty like
Mhm.
don't mess with that motherfucker. Like they're worse than me. Oh man, so I thought that was really cool. The acting looks top notch. The dry comedy. I feel like I feel like that game's gonna be really special.
I think so.
I'm not sure if it's
It's-
gonna be as big in like story as the old ones though. I think it might be a little tighter, but I definitely think that it's gonna be like a mesmerizing experience.
yeah.
Can't
I
wait to see
got
more combat.
for sure. I got a lot of faith in Playground. Just off of what they've shown to go from Forza Horizon. I mean, which is a technical achievement every time they drop it, but it's just like to go from hey, we make the car game to hey, we're now making one of Xbox's biggest IP. Like they're trusting us with Fable, which is like one of
Yeah,
their most iconic
not just one of the
IPs.
biggest IPs, but an RPG IP.
Yes, a whole different thing from just a car game. And from the two trailers we've seen, in fact, well, three trailers, they had that teaser back in like 2020. But like from the two main trailers that we saw, they got the vibes right. They got the vibes right for this. We saw a little bit more gameplay. There's snippets of gameplay last year. We saw a couple more snippets this year. And every time we see it, it looks better and better. So Fable was definitely on my list. It's hard to rank, honestly, because it's all kind of a blur, but definitely was on my list, for sure.
What was
Uh,
your next one?
my next one, well, I gotta go Doom. I gotta go Doom.
Okay.
Um, I I hope you don't say the one that I want to say after that, but I'm gonna go Doom with this because I love Doom 2016. I love Doom Eternal. I probably love Doom 2016 just a little bit more because it's more my pace. Eternal is just so fucking fast paced. It's all over the place, and it makes it like I already have ADD. I can't cope playing that on harder difficulties. But 2016 is more my pace, and this seems more in the vein of 2016. Obviously, a different setting, a more medieval setting, different weapons and everything, different environments. It looks really really damn good. Plus, it's to be expected. It's on id Tech, and id Tech the engine is just unreal. It's one of the best engines in gaming, and which is nuts considering the fact like I think out of everything we saw there, I think with gameplay at least, that probably looked the smoothest. Which again, id Tech, and there was a lot of smooth looking games there. So yeah, Doom, almost said 2016. Doom: The Dark Ages, gotta be, gotta be my number three, which is nuts because I would like the way that show started. I would have said that probably be my number one. So that's my number three. What do you got next?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So my next one is. Hope I'm not taking this from you. I feel bad if I am, but I'm actually gonna say Stalker.
Oh, all right. All right.
What?
Yeah.
It wasn't it.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
I have a feeling Is it a shooter? What I'm thinking?
No,
It's not. Wow.
not a
Okay.
shooter.
That's incredible because the other two that I was thinking it might be are shooters. So so Stalker. I'm excited to see that game because not only because it looks good and the like weapon work in the game looks real nice.
Mhm.
But like also because like those guys were supposed to have the game out in 2022 and it just like their country was getting decimated, right?
Yeah,
And then like some of them had to go to work out in
yeah.
that stuff. So like
They've
it's
lost
one of
team
my
members.
it's one of my most anticipated games just because of the triumph behind it. Like
Yeah.
there's just certain things that you like that you just respect. They don't have to be the best of all time. They don't like there's certain NBA players that I like more than some of the biggest stars, right? And it has nothing to do with how how it has nothing to do with like them being, the main person of the team. It's the way that they choose to contribute and how they, do sometimes they're outside of, work activities that make them that much more special and that much more of a
Yeah.
favorite for fans of that sport or of that team and whatnot, right? Where it's like, yo, like we were talking about it last night when I brought up that basketball player for the Cavs that you said went to the wedding or did something.
Oh yeah, Channing Frye. Channing Frye is like my favorite player from the championship team for the Cavs. My brother knew that, and my brother got him to do a cameo to ask me to be the best man at his wedding. So
Which is
that
nuts.
was pretty dope. Yeah.
Which so like I mean, so like that's what I'm saying. Like he's obviously not LeBron James, right? He's
Yes.
not the
Yeah.
most storied, looked after, richest player. He might not even been even close to the reason why they won the championship, but he was a part of that team, and he was like he was a factor. Whether you want to admit it or not, he was a factor. He is a piece of the team. He was
Hmm.
somebody that they'd call upon in certain situations and whatnot, right? You
Yes.
you you fit this matchup perfectly, right? We don't use you in the last couple of games, but this game we fucking need you, right? So that's kind of how I look at that's kind of like how I look at Stalker and whatnot. Like you guys went through a lot, and you guys still got to the finish line. Like I
Yeah.
gotta like not only do I feel the need to play the game, but I feel the need to buy it. Like
Same
although I
here.
know it's going in the Game Pass, it's like I feel the need to buy it just because I'm just like, yo, like you deserve that type of support.
Same here. I'm in fact, I'm like I've been looking at the Stalker limited editions
I want the
and
one
I'm
with the
trying to
figurine.
yeah, dude, I'm trying to look at those real quick, but I'm right there with you. Like I really want to buy this game just to show support because just to make the game like I mean you pretty much said it all. Like under the pressure that they were under, they had people who had to go to war. They had people who had to go to war and did not come back on the team. So it's like the least I can do as somebody who enjoys games and is excited for their game is to show some sort of support, whether it's a regular edition all the way up to the biggest edition possible. It's the least I can do is show the support for it. On top of playing it, obviously. But yeah, I mean that's a really good choice, and I would have said that pretty soon, honestly. Uh, but it wasn't my next one. But yeah, you
So
got
what
anything
is
else
your
to say
next
about
one?
it? Okay, so my next one is South of Midnight.
Oh, what? Okay, yeah, that makes a
South
lot
of
of
Midnight.
sense. That
Because
game was hot.
dude, I've been excited for Compulsion ever since they got him. I think Compulsion's a stupidly talented studio or stupidly creative studio. They're probably outside of you know, Arcane Leon now, because Austin's gone, but outside of Arcane Leon, they're probably the most creative studio. You could probably argue Obsidian as well. Um, that Xbox has and Double Fine, pretty prestigious group of studios. But I feel like Compulsion has never had like the budget to do the things they really, really, really wanted to do. They always have these really cool ideas and they just can't quite get it done. Whereas with South of Midnight, I mean, a couple years ago we were hearing about the rumors of South of Midnight and like deep South folklore, fantasy, and I'm like, okay, I've never seen that in a game, at least not that I can remember playing. So I was already interested. Then we saw I think it was last year. I believe it was last year we saw the first little bit of South of Midnight and I was like, that looks interesting. Want to see gameplay. Well, here we are this year. We got a gameplay trailer for it. Like 80% of this trailer was gameplay and it looked awesome. It reminded me very much of Kena Bridge of Spirits. And I love Kena Bridge of Spirits. So I'm excited for it. It has like flying and shit. The combat looked pretty cool. I like the animation. I know people are kind of 50-50 on the animation. Some people think it looks terrible. Other people think it looks amazing. I think it looks really cool, honestly. This whole stop motion style. I can't wait to see more of this. And we did get a release window for the game, 2025, which means we'll probably be seeing this at the Developer Direct early next year, which I am very excited for. So that would be my number 4. I was on right there. So yeah, off to you.
All right. I'd be crazy if I didn't bring up Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I got to bring up Call of Duty not just because it's coming to Game Pass and that I don't have to, pay for it yearly, but also because that story looks pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
And the stuff that you do in it looks dope as well. The implementation of that Omni movement looks amazing. I remember playing Helldivers and being like, well, I can't dive backwards in Call of Duty. Well, now I'm going to be able to.
Yeah.
You're going
Backwards,
to be able to do
sideways.
sideways dives like you're fucking Max Payne and in first person. That's going to be nuts.
Yeah. It looks awesome, dude.
You're going to be able to sprint backwards as well and side to side. Like when I'm trying to back up, I don't have to feel like I'm going like a half a mile an hour.
Yeah. It looks snappy.
It does, and it's kind of scary because I already know people abuse the shit out of the speed in the game already.
Oh, it's gonna be nuts what people do with this. It's
Oh
gonna
my
be
god. Like I
infuriating.
hope they nerf down a little bit of the of that melee bullshit.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
I
about
fucking
too.
hate how people can just run straight through your bullets and stab you. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
bro, I
man.
shot you in the chest with a shotgun and you excelled forward towards me. Like you like usually, somebody gets shot with a shotgun, you get like propelled backwards a little bit, right?
It's a
But
speed
instead,
boost.
they just fucking fight through it like a goddamn zombie.
Just makes them quicker.
Yeah, like they get further angry, like way more pissed. And they
Yeah.
need to sick that knife in you, and then all it takes is one swipe.
Hmm. That melee is pretty nuts. I mean, we played Call of Duty the other night, and you and me both, and Mike were just some of the times we would get melee just didn't make any sense. Didn't make no sense. But I mean, I would have mentioned Call of Duty. I don't think it would have been my next one, but I would definitely mention Call of Duty for sure. It looked awesome. Mike and
Mike.
Ham. I am Mike. I'm gonna show that to Mike, honestly. I'm gonna show that to Mike. I'm gonna send him that. And tell him I'm you now, bud. Xbox gonna be selling some Xboxes. Quarter stats gonna have hardware up in the percentages. I mean, hey, we'll see. I think now's as good a time as any. Now is as good a time as any, quite honestly. You just gotta if they position themselves right over the holidays, they could have a pretty nutty holiday. So we'll see for sure. But my number 5 to keep this going. Oh man, it's tough at this point. You know what? I'm gonna go Adamfall, number 5.
Really?
I'm gonna go Adamfall number 5 because watching that gave me Atomic Heart vibes. It was like Atomic Heart, but instead of Russian, it was English. And I was like, this just seems fun. They got robots. They had a robot with a giant ass flamethrower, just lighting things on fire. And then obviously FPS game. I love FPS games. It seems like a relatively decent sized open world. Who knows? It could be more linear. There was some stealth in there. There was, fast paced action and stuff. It looked cool. I really liked what I saw from Adamfall. And again, 2025. Dude, 2020, the end of this year, we're talking about the end of this year is going to be nuts. 2025 is going to be fucking crazy. It's going to be kind of disrespectful, quite frankly. And I'm looking forward to it. So, I mean, that's my number 5. What do you got after? What's your next one?
My next one would probably be State of Decay.
State of Decay did impress me.
I was surprised. I mean, I shouldn't have been surprised. I kind of said it in a few other podcasts that I think that they should show State of Decay, but I was still surprised when I seen it because it was just like finally. It was like one of those kind of surprises, like finally, like oh wow, something I guess was there, sweet. And it felt good about that and Perfect Dark, right? Those two in particular were two games over the last year. Because prior to those two games, it was Fable that people were dogging on. Like Fable ain't there. Fable's like, where's Fable at? Yada yada yada. Like the community even went into idea of Fable being like the collection like a Marcus Phoenix that people are talking about currently, right?
Yeah, God, I remember that.
So there's a lot of talks around Fable, but now that Fable got shown, it was like us kind of sitting around and being like, well, where's State of Decay? Where's Perfect Dark? Where's Everwild? Well, we got State of Decay and we got Perfect Dark. Now we're just waiting to see what's going on with Everwild, or if that game is just like a busted myth. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's the last of what's Rand call it on his podcast with Jazz. I think he calls it like the infamous 5 from like 2020. I think we got 4 of them out of the way now. We just need that one more. Just got to see that one more, and that's Everwild.
No doubt. But yeah, State of Decay, it looked really clean, looked interesting. Looks like you're going to be losing. It looks like they're going back with that infamous, like, once you lose somebody, they're gone.
Yeah.
Aspect, and they made that like extremely clear.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It looks cool. Like, I'm surprised by it because I'm someone who doesn't really have any interest in State of Decay. I've tried it a few times and I just never been able to get into it. I will say I played State of Decay 2, I think a little bit when it launched, and then I played a small amount whenever it got its visual upgrade, like soon after the Series X came out, I think. Where like it looks better than it did at launch, like a lot. But just the leap in visual fidelity from that to what State of Decay 3 looks like is pretty damn impressive. Sour Blaze Rare might be working on Sea of Thieves 2 for all we know. At this point, maybe. They honestly might be. Epic Gamer, who is this fraud? He says mid-ass stream from Busta. I would love to hear Mike say Busta. I would love to hear Mike call me a busta with his voice. I would love that.
It has to
I
be
would
with the
love
A.
that. Yeah, he has to say it with an A. I want to. I want to hear you say that, Mike. But I appreciate you. The $2 super chat. Appreciate it very much. Let's see what I got. We're gonna keep this going. I mean, I gotta mention Avowed. Like Avowed's my most anticipated game, probably the rest of the year. The only reason I have it so low here would probably be because it it was more exciting the whole deep dive we got the day after. Like the trailer they showed, at the showcase, I feel like it was more just like, hey, we made the game look better than it did the last time we showed it. It felt like more, okay, guys, we heard what you said. Here's the updated visuals and everything. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. It was a trailer that I don't think needed to be there, but I appreciate it that it was. So I put Avowed on my list for sure. I'm really hyped for it. Plus all the stuff we heard about it after the showcase and everything the next day. Third person coming to Avowed.
Jeez, that
That's
was amazing to hear.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. I know a lot of people were like, I really want to play the game, but I don't want to play it first person. And I was certain that it would only be first person. Well, they proved me wrong because they came out and said third person will be there once the game launches, which is awesome. Has a little bit of verticality. There's like clambering and stuff, kind of like how you get in Starfield when you're climbing stuff, which is pretty cool. Multiple different ways to attack different objectives, which I kind of expect in an Obsidian game, but it was really cool seeing the deep dive that they did the day later. But I got to mention it here on the show. Yeah, what about you? What's up next for you?
The last game that I want to bring up, because like I said, I don't want to talk about every single game.
Yeah.
The last game that I'm gonna bring up is Flight Simulator.
Not bad, yeah.
That game looked amazing, which I didn't. I mean, I expect that game to look nice, right? But they finally threw out what I was talking about way back in 2022 or late 2021. Because I remember going to Asobo's website and saying they are hiring people that know things about like search and rescue and stuff like that, and helicopters and whatnot. I was like, they must be bringing helicopters and missions and stuff like that over. And lo and behold, here in 2024, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is supposed to be coming out, I think, like later this year in like November or something like that. And it has a ton of different things that you can do in it other than search and rescue, but also like freaking like fires. You could take out like forest fires and stuff like that, and do charter flights, and there's just all sorts of really cool stuff that you can do in that game that I've picked up Flight Simulator many a times and played it, and I've always been a fan of Flight Simulator since all the way back in Flight Simulator 98. But every time I picked it up, I'd be like, all right, I'm kind of done flying after a while. Like going to the stratosphere and then landing, that was a whole ass dope mission. That whole ass mission was dope. But and they had some other things for like Top Gun and whatnot. But I felt like it was like kind of a surface scratch, and it wasn't really like fully fledged out like missions that you could really do. And this game seems like it's going to be like, hey, I can do various different fire and rescue type missions, very different types of charter missions where maybe I'm going from one state to another, going across the United States, or maybe going to another country or continent. So like it just sounds more like it's giving me a reason to play it instead of it feeling like a like a what do they call them, like technical tests?
Oh, it's like a tech demo, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like the most recent Microsoft Flight Simulator that came to Xbox, the one that's available to play now, is more or less like a massive tech demo, right? And
I agree with that.
it's an amazing tech demo. Hell, you can even take it into VR and go crazy with it, right? It's fun, and I've done that before. I have a VR and I've done that. But I mean, throwing on a VR and like I don't know, they showed in the trailer where somebody got out of their plane and went and took a photo of some wildlife. And I was like, wait a second.
Are you getting out of your plane now?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm getting out of my like what is this? What is this game? What is it really? It's
Yeah,
just soon it's just gonna be called the simulator.
right? It looks like I have no real interest in flights. And like I tried it out on like on Xbox when it came just for like the novelty of trying it out, but the fact that they're adding missions has me like actually kind of intrigued for this flight sim. More than just, hey, I'm gonna turn it on to see how good it looks and probably never play it again. Like this looks actually interesting. The whole search and rescue, like you mentioned, like I'm a nerd for ships and shit. Like I don't know where that like general interest came from for me, but I'm like a nerd for that shit. And so like when they showed, oh, there's a sinking ship and you got to go in for a search and rescue, I'm just really interested in that stuff. I'm super interested in that stuff. Uh, but yeah, I mean that was like, I guess now to wrap up the whole showcase segment, I guess we'd have to grade it on some level. So if we're gonna do out of 10, what do you give this showcase?
Out of 10, I gave it a 9.8. There's still always a little bit of room for improvement. So like it's hard for me to give something a solid 10, but I mean, without me directly telling them what to do, they deliver. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the only way I could really like say that hey, this was any less than a 9 is or I mean any more than a 9 is if they did exactly what I said.
yeah, I get
Which
that.
which is fine. They didn't. But they god damn, they have me eager. Like we could still be talking about other games right now, but we
Yeah.
chose to just talk about the really eye-catching ones. And even that alone almost took an hour.
Sour Blow says 3 out of 10. I want those clicks. You'll get it with that. You'll get it with that. Dion Hayes says 10 out of 10. Listen, I'm right there. I'm right there with Dion Hayes. I give this a 10 out of 10.
You do?
And I 100% do. And I told you guys in the party the other night, like I've only been keeping up with showcases, like the showcase season stuff, since like 2015. When the first showcase I remember I scheduled time to watch was Xbox's show in 2015 where they announced their whole back compat thing, and everybody went fucking crazy, right? Since that show in 2015 to this show we just saw this year, that's not only the best Xbox showcase, that's the best showcase I've seen in that time frame. I've not seen a showcase that good in that time period.
I've never seen a showcase that good.
So,
Because I'm pretty sure I
mean,
gave last year's showcase like a 9.
yeah, last year's showcase was solid. Like it
And
was
it
good.
was a good showcase. Like I'm
Yeah,
not taking that back to lower it. I'm not looking at this showcase and then readjusting. No, last year's showcase was a 9. This one was a 9.8 for me. Like it was as close to a 10 as I'd give anything.
yeah.
And I think that's wild for me personally. I'm almost like I almost gave it a 10, but I'm just thinking like, I think that somehow, some way, Xbox in the future is going to have an even crazier showcase, which sounds nuts, but I think that that's totally under the realm of possibility.
I think that's a given. Like
See?
I think that's a like as great as this show
Raj is
was,
gonna
this
be
was the
throwing up tens again.
that's what I'm
Where's
gonna be
11?
doing. That's it seems like that's what the reality is gonna be because it's like we saw okay, they have a pretty damn strong closing to this year. You got Avowed, Indiana Jones. You got all the stuff coming to Game Pass between now and then. Stalker 2 is hitting Game Pass in September. You got Flintlock, Siege of Dawn coming. I think next month. That's coming, middle of next month. Like you got a bunch of stuff hitting your console within the next, I don't know, 6 months. But then we started to see some of the stuff for 2025. Next year's showcase is going to be the end of 2025, and then we're also going to be seeing what's going on for 2026. Which is like I think they're in a position now. They got enough studios now. They're in a position now where it's like I feel like every year you're probably going to be saying some form of that was the best showcase I've ever seen. Which is crazy to think about. And that's also not counting, like we talked about a little bit earlier, next year with developer direct and everything. Like it seems is going to be a tradition for them going forward. I mean, they just have enough things going on where it's like I don't know how I just can't envision a down year, a down showcase for them going forward. I just can't envision it.
I mean, it's hard to envision when you have that many studios.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it's hard to say that. Like I could see a showcase maybe not being as intense as this last one. Like maybe in a couple years, or maybe like the year after. I don't know when, to be honest. But
yeah.
I think all of their like not as intense still does still means it can still be intense, right?
Yes.
It's just like, like, I mean, you want to get hit by a 10-pound brick or a 30-pound brick? It's just like they're both gonna hurt a lot.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot
Yeah.
of people hurt by that. So yeah, I think that the next few years are pretty sewed up when it comes to content from them, and they should have a lot of great stuff. And then on top of it, with the talks of new hardware and stuff like that seemingly right around the corner, like what happens if Xbox has new hardware as often as Nvidia has new graphics cards, and they
That's
just
an
make it
interesting thought.
scalable like a PC for every game?
That would be
Have this year
very
or
interesting.
newer of an Xbox, of an Xbox, of a piece of Xbox hardware or something like that, right?
Mhm.
Almost like they do with like Windows 10 and up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what happens if they start doing like hardware like that?
I
That'd
think
be
it's
crazy.
totally within the realm of possibility too. I mean, look at how they do Surface. Surface releases often. There's always new Surface stuff coming out, or at least it feels like there's always something new Surface related on the way. So it's like you think about that. You also consider, rumors about how the Surface team is involved with the next Xbox. Granted, those are just rumors. We don't know anything yet. But like you start to hear stuff like that, and what you just suggested kind of seems like it could become more of a reality. Um, so I would be very interested to see that. John Freeman says it's crazy we don't even have a new Resident Evil. Uh, maybe that's something we'll see. Like, because I don't know the whole timeline for that. Honestly, I haven't been keeping up too much with it. Maybe that's something we see next year, though. Because aren't they working on a remake? Pretty sure they're working on like Resident Evil 5 or
I'm
Code
not a
Veronica or
Resident
something
Evil
like
fan,
that.
so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, same. I, I I don't know. We'll see. I'm assuming we'll see more of that next year, though. So look forward to that. Dion Hayes says, "I want Sony to bring it because now they've been put on notice, and Jim warned them because now Xbox has Call of Duty." I'll tell you what. If the state of put it this way, if I'm judging the state of PlayStation versus the state of Xbox based on the shows that they just put on, I mean, it's not it's not close. We're not even, like, it's not worth talking about. Um, if we're going to judge it based on what we've seen the past 2 weeks, uh, like I saw, shout out to IGN, something I'll never say much of, but I saw them post like, here's a highlight video, and it's like 50 seconds. Here's a highlight video of all the big things coming to PlayStation from PlayStation State of Play. And it was like 50 seconds. And he's like, we got Concord gameplay. And I'm like, okay, all right. And then what was the other game? Oh yeah, Astrobot. And then we finished the show with Astrobot. I was like, well, you got two highlights there. One of them's not a highlight, really, and the other one is. So I don't know. We'll not talk about that. But Mike said, Epic Gamer says, don't worry, Layden will post a sassy GIF and save the day. Oh God. Yeah. Have you been seeing that? That whole Sean
Yeah.
Layden thing?
Yeah,
He's been liking
it's something.
he's been liking a bunch of anti Phil Spencer tweets. He apparently doesn't like Phil Spencer very much, it would seem. Which, to each their own, I guess. But I mean, listen, as much as I like Sean Layden as the head of PlayStation, I really don't want to hear what he has to say as an employee of Tencent. I just don't want to
Yeah,
hear it.
it doesn't really it doesn't really matter, right?
Exactly. It's just
It's
not.
just like it's interesting. I won't say it's not, but it's not. It's I mean, it's kind of the same way I felt like about the interview that I had today. It was an awesome interview, but the guy was like, "I don't work there anymore." So like I can only tell you so much stuff, but like other than what I've done there, there's not really a whole lot that I can do to, you know, create worse or better for them.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of they're their own company now. And like or like the PR side is their own thing now. I like he said he didn't have anything to do with their recent successes or whatnot. Um but he knew the direction in which they were going and stuff like that because of how much information he had. And that's kind of the same way I look at John Layden. It's like I mean, you got the name, and you're seeming like a pretty cool guy, like in the sense of like knowing games and how things should go down and whatnot. But I mean, it's kind of a shoulder shrug when you say something. To be honest,
Yeah.
it's like that's cool and all, that's interesting, but that's as far as that goes. It's interesting.
Yeah. I agree with that. But we mentioned briefly for a second there the whole Xbox hardware thing, and there was an interview. We're not going to go through this whole thing, but there was an interview with Phil Spencer after the Xbox showcase, and one of the things he talked about was something that a lot of people, myself included, thought we'd see at the show. But Ryan McCaffrey asked him about the possibility of an Xbox handheld, and Phil Spencer did about as much as he possibly could to confirm it without confirming it. I mean,
Right.
like Ryan even asked him the whole like, okay, I know you can't answer this really, but hypothetically speaking, if there was an Xbox handheld, would it be something that needs or requires Wi-Fi to run games, or would it be something that you could play natively? And Phil Spencer did the whole thing. He's like, hypothetically, it would be a native handheld. So, I mean, again, all but confirming it. Who knows when we actually hear about it? But we did get some hardware announcements at the showcase. There was the 2 terabyte special edition Series X, the 1 terabyte white Series S, and then the white all digital Series X. Which I got to be honest with you, I know people are like weirdly pissed about the white Series X. the all digital Series X. I'm probably gonna get that.
Why?
Right. For my bedroom. Because I have a Series S in there.
So again,
And
why?
so I would have a Series X in there instead of a Series S.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd probably get that. Again, not at $500. It'd probably be on sale or something, but yeah. Uh a handheld Xbox is just reaching. I don't know what that means, John Freeman. You saying they're reaching? I mean, in that case, I'd say keep reaching. Keep reaching. Stretch those arms out nice and stretch those arms nice and far because I want that Xbox handheld. But yeah, I mean, let me see. I took some notes from the interview. Uh, reiterates the Game Pass is a choice, not the be all end all for customers. Which again, I feel like most people know this. You don't have to use Game Pass to play everything. You can still buy games, which I know Ham does all the time. I know I do all the time. That's just common sense, quite frankly. Heavily emphasizes Game Pass when talking about some games going to other consoles. I know we mentioned, or Ryan had mentioned Doom going to PlayStation 5, and he talked about like the important thing here is that that's coming to Game Pass, and that's according to metrics what people really care about. So he talked about that. He addressed that whole thing. Uh, something I didn't realize with the whole we talked about it with Gears of War, like the whole shift in Gears of War from like what they were doing to now this whole prequel thing. Uh apparently that comes from um Rod Ferguson leaving after Gears 5 development. Rod Ferguson now is with Diablo. I think he's like the head of Diablo, of all things Diablo right now. But apparently the shift in tone comes from that. I guess people didn't love the direction of Gears 4 and 5. And then once Rod left, they were able to do something a bit darker, something a bit more grounded, I guess you would say. And this is what they came out with, and I'm happy about that for sure. Uh, John Freeman says, have you noticed GTA 6 was not mentioned? I think GTA 6 is one of those games. You're on mute, him.
I'm not saying I think the whole world noticed that one.
Yeah. And I think GTA 6 is one of those games where, like, when they're ready to drop a trailer, they're going to drop a trailer and the world will come to a stop. It can be 3:24 p.m. on a random Monday afternoon. They'll drop a trailer and it will halt the world for at least 24 hours. So like and Rockstar knows that. They don't need a showcase to get people hyped for a GTA trailer. And they're very aware of that. So I think we'll see more GTA before the summer ends. I think we'll see more before the summer ends. I just don't think it'll be at any given showcase. It'll just be whenever they feel like dropping it.
I think they're gonna show it towards the end of the year. Towards
Game Awards?
Possibly. I think they show it towards the end of the year and possibly give people the opportunity to pre-order.
That'd be interesting. I
Like
could see that.
like somewhere around the Game Awards kind of time. It could be right before it, during it, or completely separate after it.
You know what would be hilarious is if literally like the Game Awards is usually on at like what 8 o'clock. If at like 7:30 they dropped a GTA 6 trailer.
Oh man, that'd be wildly disrespectful. Jeff would be pissed.
Jeff just comes out on stage all grumpy. He's like, "Thanks for showing up to this fucking useless show."
Oh my
Oh
god.
man, that would be so petty. But yeah, I could. I mean, I feel like we'll see
Everybody's
more about
watching the
GTA
trailer
6,
on the stage on their phone.
right? Giving out the awards, they're just watching their phone. Uh, we'll see more of GTA 6. I think before the year closes. I think before the summer closes, we'll see more of that. But who knows? I'm excited to see more. I mean, we talked about the showcase. Went over a couple little details with that. Phil Spencer interview at IGN. I mean, that was a pretty big interview because it was like 30 minutes of Phil and then like 30 minutes of like a bunch of people from Xbox Game Studios, from Activision, Blizzard, like all coming in and doing an interview alongside Phil. It was a beefy interview. But the most important part of this week was the Xbox showcase, and we covered that pretty extensively. I don't know if you got anything else you want to say before we get into the outros.
Nah, man, I'm done. I'm ready to go start up dinner.
I feel you on that one. We're gonna get up out of here. But before we do that, like I said, outros. Ham, let them know what you got going on. Let them know where they can find you. What you're up to.
Yep. I just, as I said earlier, I just did an interview with the ex real PR head of PR guy, and he used to be the head of PR for Xbox between 2012 to 2023. Really cool dude. If you want to check out that, you can see that on my channel, TSWS Gaming. If you want to follow me on Twitter at HamSolo05Gaming.
Very nice. And what I'm actually gonna do, because I have Ham's channel in the description, link to all that stuff in the description. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop specifically this live show he just did in the chat, so you can check that out. Looks like an hour and 6 minutes. Really cool interview that he just had over on his channel today, so check that out. As for myself, you can find me here obviously every Wednesday, normally 4 p.m. Eastern. We had to change things up today. Ham was busy, so normally 4 p.m. Eastern over here on the channel every Wednesday for this show, the Two Player Podcast. And then Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern for the L3R3 podcast videos every Monday and Friday here on the channel. And on Fridays, I'm over on Ham's channel, TSWS Gaming, link in the description, for bullsitting at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then you can also find me on Twitter at Matt Likes Games. And that's everywhere you can find me. We're going to get up out of here. Thank you all for watching. We will see you all next week. Peace.